First story, by Emily Morrison. It was a frigid night in Chicago, the kind of night where the city's usual hum dipped into an unsettling silence. I found myself navigating the labyrinthine streets of the South Loop, my steps echoing against the tall buildings that loomed overhead. The street lights, flickering intermittently, cast long shadows that seemed to dance with an eerie rhythm. As I walked, the distant sounds of traffic faded, replaced by an unsettling quiet. The air was thick with tension, and a gust of wind carried a whisper that raised the hairs on the back of my neck. It was then that I noticed a figure trailing me, their footsteps syncing with mine in a disconcerting harmony. I quickened my pace, weaving through the desolate streets, but the footsteps persisted. Glancing over my shoulder, I caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure, face obscured by the collar of a tattered coat. Panic set in as I realized I was being followed, and the once familiar cityscape now seemed like a foreboding maze. Turning a corner, I found myself on a darkened alley, the oppressive silence broken only by the distant wail of sirens. The figure closed in, and the pool of dim light from a flickering street lamp revealed their disheveled appearance. Fear clutched at my throat as I fumbled for my phone, ready to call for help. The alley seemed to stretch endlessly, the looming buildings closing in like spectral sentinels. My breath quickened, and I became acutely aware of the irregular heartbeat echoing in my ears. Just as panic threatened to consume me, I stumbled upon a side door, its rusted handle cold beneath my trembling fingers. Desperation fueled my actions as I flung the door open and tumbled into the darkened interior. The space smelled of dampness and neglect, but it offered sanctuary from the ominous figure that had pursued me. As I caught my breath, I realized I had stumbled into an abandoned warehouse. The darkness seemed to come alive with the echoes of my erratic breaths. I strained my ears, listening for any signs of the mysterious pursuer. A distant shuffle, barely audible over the ambient city sounds, sent a chill down my spine. The figure was still out there, a phantom in the night. With caution, I navigated the labyrinthine interior of the warehouse, my senses heightened by the fear of the unknown. Shadows played tricks on my perception, and every creak and groan of the building sent a shiver through my spine. It was in that moment of vulnerability that I heard a low, guttural sound, something between a growl and a whisper. As I turned a corner, I stumbled upon a makeshift encampment, littered with discarded belongings and remnants of someone's transient existence. The air hung heavy with an indescribable tension, and my gaze met the eyes of the mysterious figure. Huddled in the shadows, a homeless man regarded me with a mix of weariness and vulnerability. In that moment, the fear I had harbored transformed into empathy. The darkened streets had become a haunting backdrop for a shared human experience, a dance between the haunted and the haunted, the fearful and the feared. The city's pulse, normally drowned out by the clamor of daily life, echoed in the silent exchange between two individuals navigating the shadows of the night. Second story, by James Donovan. Los Angeles, sprawling and unpredictable, transformed into a maze of darkened streets as the night settled over the city of angels. I found myself wandering through the desolate blocks of Skid Row, where the neon lights that usually illuminated the city were replaced by the eerie glow of distant street lamps. As I walked past the towering structures that housed the forgotten, the echoes of my footsteps reverberated through the empty alleys. The scent of decay and desperation hung in the air, a stark contrast to the glamour often associated with the city of dreams. This was a side of Los Angeles that tourists seldom saw, a city within a city, defined by the shadows it cast. In the dimly lit recesses, I noticed fleeting movements, shadows dancing on the periphery of my vision. The denizens of Skid Row, silent sentinels of the night, observed my presence with a mixture of caution and curiosity. Among them, I caught sight of a man cloaked in layers of ragged clothing, his eyes gleaming like a feral animal's in the darkness. The city at night was a canvas for stories untold, and Skid Row harbored its own secrets. The night seemed to amplify the desperation of those who called the streets their home, and the city's relentless pace became a haunting lullaby that echoed through the alleyways. Turning a corner, I stumbled upon an impromptu gathering, a group of individuals huddled around a flickering trash can fire. Their faces, etched with weariness and hardship, spoke of lives lived on the fringes of society. As I passed by, their eyes followed my every move, and the collective silence created an atmosphere of silent understanding. In the heart of Skid Row, a woman's voice cut through the stillness. She sang a mournful tune, a haunting melody that seemed to carry the weight of countless untold stories. Her eyes, clouded with the residue of past traumas, locked onto mine, and for a moment, the city's cacophony faded into the background. The night took on a surreal quality as the makeshift choir in the shadows continued their serenade. The woman's song, a haunting ode to resilience, resonated with the collective soul of Skid Row. In that moment, the city became a living, breathing entity, a witness to the struggles and triumphs of those who navigated its unforgiving streets. As I walked away from Skid Row, the echoes of the haunting melody lingered in my mind. The city at night had revealed a raw, unfiltered version of Los Angeles, one defined not by glitz and glamour but by the indomitable spirit of those who forged a life amid the shadows. Third Story, by Sarah Martinez. New York City, a metropolis that never slept, transformed into a labyrinth of uncertainty as I embarked on a night walk through the towering structures of Midtown Manhattan. The usual hustle and bustle of Times Square had given way to an eerie calm, the neon billboards casting surreal hues on the empty streets. As I navigated through the deserted blocks, a distant siren cut through the stillness, a haunting reminder of the city's perpetual undercurrent of chaos. The towering skyscrapers, once monuments of human achievement, now loomed overhead like silent sentinels in the night. The city at night held a paradoxical beauty, a juxtaposition of solitude against the backdrop of urban majesty. The flickering lights of the cityscape painted a mesmerizing tapestry, concealing the shadows that clung to the corners of every alley and intersection. My journey led me to an unassuming alley, sandwiched between two nondescript buildings. The air grew colder as I ventured deeper, the towering structures casting elongated shadows that seemed to reach out like spectral fingers. The distant sounds of footsteps, muffled yet persistent, created an unsettling symphony that echoed through the narrow passage. As I turned a corner, I stumbled upon a group of individuals engaged in an illicit exchange. Their hushed voices and furtive glances spoke of a clandestine world hidden beneath the veneer of the city's glamorous facade. The air crackled with tension as I inadvertently became a witness to a transaction unfolding in the shadows. In the heart of the clandestine gathering, a man with a demeanor that exuded menace regarded me with suspicion. His eyes, sharp and calculating, bore into mine, and I realized I had become an intruder in a world defined by secrecy. A chill ran down my spine as I continued my journey through the labyrinth of the city's underbelly. The night took an unexpected turn as I stumbled upon an abandoned subway station, its entrance concealed by layers of graffiti. The distant hum of a train echoed through the desolate platform, and a flickering overhead light cast eerie shadows on the tiled walls. As I descended into the subterranean realm, the air grew heavy with the scent of dampness and decay. The distant echoes of footsteps became a disorienting cacophony, and the flickering lights created a strobe-like effect that played tricks on my perception. In the dimly lit tunnels, I became aware of a persistent sound, a rhythmic tapping that seemed to reverberate through the concrete walls. The disconcerting noise echoed with a sense of urgency, and the darkness concealed the source of the unsettling rhythm. With each step, the tapping intensified, creating an atmosphere of surreal suspense. The subway tunnels became a maze of uncertainty, and the rhythmic echoes seemed to guide my journey into the unknown. The city's heartbeat, usually drowned out by the clamor of daily life, now pulsed with an eerie resonance. As I emerged from the subway tunnels, the city above seemed to welcome me back into its fold. The skyscrapers, once silent witnesses to my nocturnal exploration, now stood as guardians of the enigmatic realm that unfolded beneath their towering heights. The night walk through the heart of Manhattan had revealed a city that transcended its iconic skyline. In the shadows and secrets that clung to every alley and subway tunnel, I had become a transient observer of a parallel world, one that thrived beneath the surface of the city that never slept. Fourth story, by Michael Thompson. San Francisco, a city known for its iconic landmarks and diverse neighborhoods, became a canvas of uncertainty as I embarked on a night walk through the enigmatic streets of Chinatown. The usual vibrancy of the district had faded into shadows, and the narrow alleyways became passages into an unseen world. The faint glow of paper lanterns cast a spectral light on the winding streets, creating an ethereal atmosphere that bordered on the surreal. As I ventured deeper into the heart of Chinatown, the distant sounds of traditional music and the clinking of utensils from closed restaurants became the haunting melody of the night. In the midst of this cultural tapestry, I stumbled upon a group of individuals engaged in a mysterious ritual. Cloaked in elaborate garments, they moved with a fluidity that seemed otherworldly. The air resonated with the rhythmic beats of a drum, and the flickering candles cast dancing shadows on the walls. Intrigued, I observed the spectacle from a distance, the pulsating energy of the ritual creating a palpable tension in the air. Symbols I couldn't decipher adorned the makeshift altar, and the participants chanted in a language unknown to me. It was a scene that transcended the boundaries of the ordinary, leaving me captivated by the mystique that enveloped Chinatown at night. As the ritual reached its climax, a sudden gust of wind extinguished the candles, plunging the alley into darkness. The silence that followed was broken only by the distant hoot of an owl, creating an uncanny stillness that heightened the sense of the unknown. In that moment, the participants turned toward me with a collective gaze that seemed to penetrate the shadows. Fear coursed through me as I felt like an intruder in a sacred ceremony. With a swift and practiced movement, they vanished into the labyrinthine alleys, leaving me alone in the darkness. Determined to unravel the mystery, I followed the path they had taken. The narrow streets of Chinatown seemed to twist and turn with an elusive logic, creating a disorienting maze that defied conventional navigation. As I ventured deeper into the labyrinth, the air became charged with an inexplicable energy. In the heart of the district, I stumbled upon an ancient temple obscured by the surrounding buildings. Its weathered facade spoke of centuries past, and the scent of incense lingered in the air. The temple's entrance beckoned, and I found myself crossing the threshold into a sacred space that seemed to exist beyond the constraints of time. The interior of the temple was dimly lit by flickering candles, casting long shadows on the intricate carvings that adorned the walls. An elderly monk, his face etched with wisdom, regarded me with a serene gaze. Without uttering a word, he beckoned me to join him in a silent communion. Through a shared exchange of glances, the monk conveyed a tale of ancient traditions, a connection between the spiritual and the earthly. The mysterious ritual in Chinatown, I learned, was a sacred practice passed down through generations, a link between the contemporary world and the mystical realm that permeated the city at night. As I left the temple, the once enigmatic streets of Chinatown took on a new significance. The neon lights and the bustling activity during the day now seemed like a mere facade, concealing the profound spiritual tapestry woven into the district's very fabric. The night walk through San Francisco had become a journey into the mystic heart of Chinatown, leaving me with a newfound appreciation for the unseen currents that shaped the city's soul. Fifth Story, by Rachel Evans. Seattle, with its blend of modern architecture and natural beauty, transformed into a realm of mystery as I embarked on a night walk through the historic Pioneer Square. The cobblestone streets, usually bustling with tourists, now echoed with the haunting whispers of the past. The dim glow of streetlights cast long shadows on the brick facades of the century-old buildings, creating an atmosphere of antiquity that seemed to seep from the very foundations of Pioneer Square. As I navigated through the deserted streets, a gust of wind carried the distant howl of a lone wolf, a sound that felt out of place in the heart of the city. The buildings, with their ornate facades and arched doorways, bore witness to a bygone era. Pioneer Square, once the epicenter of Seattle's bustling commerce, now stood as a monument to the passage of time. As I walked past the darkened storefronts, the flickering neon signs seemed to cast a spectral glow on the historic district. In the silence of the night, I became aware of an unsettling sound, a soft, rhythmic tapping that emanated from an alley adjacent to the historic Smith Tower. The tapping, reminiscent of a heartbeat, created a disconcerting undercurrent that pulsed through the air. Intrigued, I approached the alley with caution. As I turned the corner, I discovered a peculiar sight. A man, dressed in attire reminiscent of the early 20th century, engaged in a game of solitary chess on a weathered board. The pieces moved with deliberate precision, and the man's gaze remained fixed on the game. The rhythmic tapping, I realized, originated from the steady movement of his fingers against the chessboard. Intrigued by the anachronistic scene, I observed from a distance, reluctant to disturb the man lost in his timeless pursuit. The clicking of the chess pieces echoed through the empty alley, creating a surreal ambience that transcended the boundaries of the contemporary world. As I continued my exploration of Pioneer Square, the night took an unexpected turn. A sudden fog, rolling in from the nearby Elliott Bay, enveloped the historic district in an ethereal shroud. The buildings, now obscured by the mist, took on a ghostly quality, and the city's usual skyline became a distant memory. In the midst of the fog, I stumbled upon a group of individuals engaged in a spirited conversation on the steps of the Occidental Hotel. Their laughter, muffled by the fog, echoed through the square, creating an otherworldly tableau that seemed to defy the constraints of time and space. As I approached, the conversation ceased abruptly. The individuals turned toward me with expressions that hinted at a shared secret, and the air became charged with an inexplicable energy. It was as if I had unwittingly become a participant in a gathering that bridged the gap between the present and the past. In the heart of Pioneer Square, I found myself immersed in a paradox, a city at night that seemed to exist both in the modern world and in a bygone era. The fog, like a temporal veil, blurred the lines between reality and the echoes of history that lingered in the brick and cobblestone. As I left Pioneer Square behind, the fog dissipated, and the familiar cityscape re-emerged. Seattle, with its iconic skyline and contemporary allure, had revealed a hidden layer, a mystical realm that came to life under the cover of night. The night walk through Pioneer Square had become a journey through time, leaving me with a profound appreciation for the city's ability to preserve the whispers of its storied past. Sixth Story, by Daniel Turner. New Orleans, a city pulsating with the heartbeat of jazz and the aroma of Cajun spices, took on a mysterious allure as I embarked on a night walk through the dimly lit streets of the French Quarter. The historic buildings, adorned with intricate ironwork and hanging plants, cast enchanting shadows that danced in the flickering candlelight of gas lamps. As I wandered through the labyrinth of narrow streets, the distant sounds of a saxophone echoed through the night air. The music, soulful and haunting, guided me through the maze of historic architecture that seemed to come alive in the moonlit night. The city's nocturnal symphony, a harmonious blend of distant jazz notes, and the rustling of tree leaves, created an atmosphere that bordered on the mystical. The French Quarter, with its rich history and vibrant culture, revealed a different face under the cover of darkness. The usual crowds of tourists had dissipated, leaving the streets to be reclaimed by the spirits of the past. The centuries-old buildings, with their hidden courtyards and wrought iron balconies, became silent witnesses to the city's enigmatic secrets. As I turned a corner, I stumbled upon a group of revelers engaged in a spirited dance beneath the swaying branches of an ancient oak tree. Their movements, synchronized with the hypnotic rhythm of a distant drum, created a scene reminiscent of a voodoo ritual. The air buzzed with an energy that seemed to transcend the boundaries of the ordinary. Intrigued, I joined the impromptu celebration, the rhythmic beats of the drum resonating with the very essence of the city's soul. The dancers, clad in vibrant attire, moved with a primal grace that mirrored the spirit of New Orleans itself. It was a spontaneous moment of communion, a connection with the city's mystique that left an indelible mark on my nocturnal journey. As the dance reached its crescendo, the moonlight cast elongated shadows on the cobblestone streets. The revelers, caught in the throes of the night's enchantment, seemed to blur the lines between reality and the ethereal. It was a fleeting moment, a glimpse into the mystical heart of New Orleans that lay hidden beneath the surface of its lively exterior. The night walk through the French Quarter led me to a quiet courtyard adorned with flickering candles and weathered statues. In the stillness of the night, I encountered a hooded figure, a voodoo priestess, her eyes gleaming with ancient wisdom. Without uttering a word, she bestowed upon me a small trinket, a talisman said to ward off malevolent spirits. As I left the French Quarter, the sounds of jazz and the distant hum of nightlife faded into the background. New Orleans, with its historic charm and voodoo-infused mystique, had revealed itself as a city that lived and breathed with a spirit all its own. The night walk through the French Quarter had become a journey into the heart of a city that embraced its enigmatic history, leaving me with a sense of connection to the magical tapestry that defined the essence of New Orleans. These stories, each unfolding in the unique backdrop of a city at night, unveil the mysteries that lurk beneath the surface of urban landscapes. Whether it's the secrets of Chinatown in San Francisco, the echoes of history in Seattle's Pioneer Square, or the mystical allure of the French Quarter in New Orleans, the cities at night become realms where reality and enchantment coexist in the flickering shadows. Seventh Story, by Olivia Parker. Miami, a city known for its vibrant nightlife and sandy beaches, revealed a different facet as I embarked on a night walk through the historic district of Little Havana. The usual cacophony of music and laughter had given way to a hushed ambience, where the aroma of Cuban cigars wafted through the air, mingling with the distant sounds of salsa music. The streets, adorned with colorful murals and strings of twinkling lights, created a dreamlike atmosphere. As I strolled through the quiet alleys, I noticed a group of individuals engaged in a spirited game of dominoes beneath the glow of a flickering street lamp. Their animated conversations, conducted in a melodic blend of English and Spanish, painted a scene of camaraderie that transcended cultural boundaries. In the heart of Little Havana, I stumbled upon a courtyard illuminated by the soft glow of paper lanterns. A woman, draped in a vibrant dress, moved with the fluidity of a flamenco dancer. The rhythm of her castanets echoed through the night, creating an enchanting spectacle that seemed to draw the spirits of the city into a nocturnal dance. Intrigued by the performance, I became a silent observer, captivated by the fusion of music, dance, and the rich cultural tapestry that defined Little Havana. The courtyard became a stage for a celebration that transcended time, where the city's vibrant spirit manifested in the harmonious convergence of heritage and rhythm. As the dancer concluded her performance, the onlookers erupted into applause, and the night resumed its calm. Little Havana, bathed in the soft glow of lanterns, exuded a sense of timelessness. The stories etched into the murals, the laughter of domino players, and the echoes of flamenco cast a spell that lingered in the warm Miami night. Eighth Story, by Benjamin Foster. Denver, a city nestled against the backdrop of the Rocky Mountains, took on an air of mystery as I embarked on a night walk through the historic district of Larimer Square. The cobblestone streets, normally bustling with diners and shoppers, now lay in a tranquil hush beneath the moonlit sky. The historic buildings, their facades adorned with Victorian architecture, cast elongated shadows on the empty sidewalks. As I walked, a sudden gust of wind carried the scent of pine, a reminder of the nearby mountains that watched over the city like silent sentinels. The distant howl of a coyote added an eerie note to the night's symphony. In the heart of Larimer Square, I stumbled upon an antique shop that seemed frozen in time. The flickering light from a vintage lamppost cast a warm glow on the aged artifacts displayed in the window. Intrigued, I ventured inside, where the creaking floorboards and the ticking of an ancient clock created a nostalgic ambience. As I browsed the shelves lined with dusty books and forgotten relics, the air seemed to thicken with the weight of untold stories. In the dim light, I noticed an old photograph, a black and white image capturing a moment from Denver's past. The faces in the photograph, frozen in time, stared back at me with a haunting familiarity. The antique shop became a portal to a bygone era, where the city's history whispered through the artifacts that adorned its shelves. The stories of Larimer Square, etched into the brick and mortar, resonated with a quiet intensity that transcended the confines of the present. Leaving the antique shop behind, I continued my journey through the quiet streets of Denver. The night took on a surreal quality as I stumbled upon a hidden park bathed in the soft glow of lampposts. The statues, cloaked in shadows, seemed to come alive in the moonlight, their silent vigil a testament to the city's enduring spirit. In the heart of the park, I encountered a lone musician, his guitar echoing through the night like a melancholic whisper. The melody, a haunting ballad that seemed to encapsulate the essence of Denver, resonated with the ghosts of a time long past. The park became a stage for a nocturnal serenade, where the city's secrets unfolded beneath the starlit sky. As I left Larimer Square and its hidden park behind, Denver's nocturnal charm lingered in the air. The historic district, normally bustling with life, had revealed a quieter, more introspective side beneath the cloak of night. The night walk through Larimer Square had become a journey through Denver's timeless soul, leaving me with a sense of connection to the city's enduring history. Ninth Story, by William Rodriguez. Atlanta, a city steeped in Southern charm and modern sophistication, transformed into a tapestry of mystery as I embarked on a night walk through the historic district of Sweet Auburn. The cobblestone streets, lined with century-old buildings, carried the whispers of a bygone era that seemed to come alive beneath the soft glow of lampposts. The historic district, normally bustling with tourists, now lay in a hushed repose. The rhythm of my footsteps echoed against the brick facades, and the distant hum of the city became a lullaby that cradled Sweet Auburn in a nocturnal embrace. As I walked past the storefronts that once bore witness to the civil rights movement, I felt the weight of history in the air. The old churches, their spires reaching toward the heavens, seemed to stand as guardians of the city's legacy. Sweet Auburn, with its rich cultural heritage, became a living monument to the resilience of a community that had shaped the course of history. In the heart of the district, I stumbled upon an unassuming jazz club. The distant notes of a saxophone, accompanied by the rhythmic beats of a stand-up bass, wafted through the night air. Intrigued, I entered the dimly lit venue, where the warm ambience and the soulful melodies created an intimate space that transcended the ordinary. The jazz club became a haven for those seeking refuge from the complexities of the world. The musicians, lost in the improvisational dance of their instruments, conjured a soundscape that seemed to echo the collective heartbeat of Sweet Auburn. The patrons, a diverse tapestry of faces, shared nods of recognition as the music wove its spell. Leaving the jazz club behind, I ventured deeper into the historic district, where the past and present coexisted in a delicate balance. In an alley adorned with murals depicting scenes of the civil rights movement, I encountered a group of individuals engaged in a spoken-word performance. Their words, a poignant reflection on justice and equality, echoed through the night with a visceral intensity. Sweet Auburn, with its hidden alleys and unassuming storefronts, became a stage for the voices that had shaped its narrative. The night walk through the historic district had become a journey through Atlanta's soul, where the echoes of the past intertwined with the rhythms of the present. 10th Story, by Emma Turner. Phoenix, a city of sprawling desert landscapes and modern skyscrapers, took on an otherworldly aura as I embarked on a night walk through the downtown district. The usual heat of the day had given way to a cool breeze, and the city's lights illuminated the night sky in a mesmerizing display. The towering buildings, their glass facades reflecting the glow of neon signs, created a futuristic backdrop that seemed to blend seamlessly with the natural beauty of the desert. As I walked through the quiet streets, the distant hum of traffic became a distant echo, and the city's pulse seemed to synchronize with the rhythmic rustle of palm fronds. In the heart of downtown, I stumbled upon an open-air art installation, a series of sculptures that seemed to come alive in the moonlight. The artist's interpretation of desert flora and fauna, crafted from reclaimed materials, cast surreal shadows on the pavement. As I observed the sculptures, the city around me transformed into a gallery where the boundaries between urban and natural landscapes blurred. Continuing my journey, I entered a vibrant cultural district where the sounds of live music and laughter filled the night air. The open-air market, normally a hub of daytime activity, had become a nocturnal bazaar where artisans showcased their creations beneath twinkling string lights. The scent of exotic spices and the vibrant colors of handmade crafts created a sensory experience that defied the conventional notion of a desert city at night. In the heart of the cultural district, I encountered a group of street performers whose acrobatic feats defied gravity. Their nimble movements and choreographed stunts seemed to defy the laws of physics, creating an atmosphere of unrestrained exhilaration. The spectators, drawn into the spectacle, became part of a collective celebration that transcended the limitations of the desert night. As I ventured further into downtown Phoenix, the city revealed hidden pockets of creativity and innovation. A rooftop garden, bathed in the soft glow of fairy lights, offered a panoramic view of the urban landscape against the backdrop of the desert. The juxtaposition of greenery and city lights created a surreal vista that seemed to embody the spirit of Phoenix, a city that thrived in the midst of arid beauty. The night walk through downtown Phoenix had become a journey through a city that embraced its contradictions. The futuristic skyline and the natural wonders of the desert coexisted in a delicate dance, creating a nocturnal tapestry that celebrated the boundless creativity and resilience of the urban oasis. Thank you for sticking with us through the whole video. Also, I recommend you this video you see on screen, one of the scariest on my channel. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. This helps me bring you more thrilling content every day. If this video sent shivers down your spine, let me know in the comments.